Hi there, everyone. Welcome to episode 194 of the Mike from Maine Show, the place where we do daily interviews with successful online entrepreneurs. This is your host, Mike Thomas, and today on the show we have Kerry Knoll on, and we're going to be talking about offline marketing today. It's interesting though because normally we talk more about the online internet marketing stuff here, but once in a while I like to bring someone on to talk about the offline world, because I think a lot of us have all these different skills that we have, like building a website or getting traffic or building Facebook fan pages, and we can really take those and help different businesses that are offline. And one of the things that I like about Kerry's WSO, or it's not actually WSO, he's got his own sales page for it, but about his offer, his special offer, is that it talks about selling solutions rather than selling services. So, and this is something we really get into, the fact that a lot of times people will go out there and approach a business and say, hey, I can give you 10,000 Twitter followers, I can write articles and submit them to directories for you, I can make your website look, I don't know, put up a special plugin on your website. And businesses don't understand what that all means. And those are the features of what you can offer them. Businesses want results. So this is something that if you want to approach businesses, you need to be speaking in their language and really get to the heart of what's going to sell them on the different packages that you can offer them. Anyways, we get deep into this in the interview today. Here he is, Kerry Knoll. We're here today with Kerry Knoll. Kerry, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Nice to be here.
Let's get right into it. And why don't you tell us about your internet marketing journey?
Sure. Basically, I started back, I got into internet marketing full time probably in 2011. I started I joined the Warrior Forum in September 2011. Prior to that, I actually was just doing some affiliate marketing on the side here and there. I started doing affiliate marketing actually almost close to 10 years ago when I started with doing some promotional stuff for online poker rooms.
Okay.
I play poker, and so I was always into that. And so then I started figuring out how to make some money on the side, just advertising stuff on my website. I had a poker website at the time.
It's really appropriate because I think are you in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas. Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely makes sense there. Okay, continue on.
Yeah. So started doing that, and then I can't remember what exactly happened. I was working, bouncing between jobs in the last 10 years. Between I started my career working for State Farm Insurance back in 1999, doing some programming and stuff because I have a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Information Systems. And then I had an opportunity to move out to San Diego with a friend of mine that got me a job out in San Diego, so I did that. And then that job was short-lived. It was a .com, and that was right around the .com bubble bursting time. And I decided just to pack up and move to Las Vegas in about August 2001. And I kind of bounced from a couple jobs here and there, and worked for a local ticketing agency that provided show tickets on the Strip. So that was kind of a neat job because I ended up working, being able to go to a lot of shows and so forth and so on without having to pay for anything. It was nice. And then I finally started working for marketing agency here in Vegas. And I did that for a little while. And then one of my good friends worked for a company named Zions. Have you ever heard of that before?
I haven't, but that doesn't mean it's not a big
Well,
company.
they were a big sponsor, or are maybe still, I'm not sure, in the UFC arena. But they needed a webmaster guy, so I went over there, worked for them for a little while. And unfortunately, they were doing some shady business, the owners were. And they pretty much had to let go of most of the staff at the time.
I have to ask you, what were they doing that was shady?
It was some kind of...
Just lost you there for a second.
So
I just lost you there for a second. What were they doing that was shady? I'm losing you again. Kerry.
You okay?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
It
Okay.
lagged for a minute.
So what were they doing that was shady?
Honestly, I don't know for sure. I just know it had to do with some insider stuff that I think it was like almost like insider trading stuff, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure exactly. I think it was some fraudulent stock stuff or whatnot have you. So,
Okay.
um, anyway, they haven't gone away completely. They're still like a skeleton outfit, but pretty much everyone that was involved at that point is out of the company now at this point. Um, and then after that, I was like, okay, maybe I should just play poker. Maybe I shouldn't be in this technology, field because it's just so, as it always is. There's no loyalty to working with anybody or any company anymore. It's not the old days like it used to be. So I started playing poker full time for about a year, and it worked out all right. And I was just doing some freelance work on the side, and then with my business company, which is Vegas Tech Group. And then basically, I got to a point where I was like, okay, grinding it out playing poker is too much work. It's too unreliable. So I went back to work for another design agency here in town, and I worked for them for a couple of years. And then they went on hard times when the economy started to crash, and so I was a casualty there a little bit. And then, ironically enough, the design company I worked for prior to working at Zions, they came back to me and said, "Hey, would you consult with us on some projects we got working?"
Hmm.
So I decided to do that, and I was working for them for about a half a year to a year. And then they got hit by the crunch, and so then they closed their doors. Okay, so then at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going back to my own business. I'm going to just start doing my own consultancy, offline marketing stuff, and get into some affiliate marketing stuff heavily. And that's when I pretty much hopped in 2011 in the Warrior Forum. And I think the first affiliate I ever got on somebody's list was Matt Carter. I don't know if you're familiar with
Heard
who
of
he
it.
is. Yeah, I don't know how I discovered him or how I got on his list, but he promoted a product eventually that I ended up going to the forum and finding. And that's, kind of how it all got started.
I mean, your story, I can see you really not believing in job security.
Yeah, no, it was bad. Yeah. I mean, I probably had the most secure job I had was State Farm Insurance when I got out of college. But it wasn't the job I wanted to be doing because I knew I always wanted to be doing something regarding web, and that was all mainframe programming and so forth, and there was no future there for web stuff. So that's why I had to leave, and I just was like, okay, this isn't for me.
A lot of people listening right now are in the same situation today that you were in back in 2011 when you went to the Warrior Forum and you were looking around like most of us. I think
Right.
even some people that have succeeded and have had some success kind of still go back and browse around and see what's going on once in a while. What was it that made you successful? What was it that, like, bring me from getting in there and starting to look at things and discovering Matt Carter and up to where you are today?
Well, yeah, I just, I started following the same path that most do as far as, I needed some quick expertise and I wanted to learn as much as possible about things I didn't have a good grasp on at the time. And I wanted to find, and all of a sudden here I was, given it, look at all these new people were putting out, right, for on the dollar what they would normally cost.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a gold mine all of a sudden to help out, an individual like myself at the time trying to do marketing for companies that needed my help. And so, once I got in there and started digging around and I started finding stuff that I could use and put to use and realize this stuff wasn't a gimmick and it really was good stuff that I could use and benefit myself and my business. Then I decided, why can't I be turning the tables on this and taking advantage of the situation myself and coming up with some ideas and putting some of the stuff I'm doing in my real world business into a product itself and then putting it out there as well.
Okay, so did you immediately start getting into product creation, or did you dabble a little bit in all the different stuff that's available?
No, I pretty much dabbled for a while. I didn't start in product creation until it was about 1 year ago from now, when I started to really decide that, okay, it's time to start putting out my own stuff, right? So I spent a good, I would say 9 months or so playing around in there and buying stuff and figuring out stuff and figuring out how things worked and meeting people and talking to people and, you know, moving along those lines.
When did you start to see any kind of success?
I would say with product creation, are we talking, or?
With product creation, with your online experience. I mean, you've got your offline thing going on,
Right.
but, and I know that all intertwines into what you're doing here, but a lot of people, they'll do a lot of these things and they'll buy the courses and they won't be making any money from what they're doing. And
Right.
I just want to kind of understand that journey, because there's just a lot of gaps going on here, I think.
Well, yeah, to kind of give you a better idea, I guess, overall, is that I would say I probably, ultimately, I would say probably ultimately that the big difference maker for me, where I started to really see success from the things I was doing with the Warrior Forum and the products I was using and all that sort of thing, was when I stumbled upon people like Dr. Ben Atkins and Don Wilson and some of their products. And then I came out to, well, I was here, but they came out for their event last year here in Vegas. It was called End of the World event. And when I showed up to that event and got the inside track on, really how to take your business from where it is to where you want it to go, that really opened my eyes. And that's the turning point for me, where I decided that I had to do something more than just, okay, I'm not going to just do this offline consultancy thing overall. I want to turn it into something bigger and better than that. And so that was kind of the kickoff, as you will, that propelled me into product creation.
Is most of your money now coming from your offline work or from your product creation, or is it half and half? How's that working?
Yeah, it's pretty much half and half at this point. I mean, I would say a good portion of my income still comes from offline marketer, from my offline marketing career stuff. But ultimately, I'm moving more and more towards the internet marketing stuff, just nature of the beast. And so it's just hard to find time as far as how much time in the day I do spend doing what I do, because right now I do the majority of my stuff still all by myself. I have a couple outsourcers overseas in the Philippines that do a couple things for me from time to time for my offline marketing business, but so far they haven't touched anything that has to do with my internet marketing business. And so that's still 100% on me. So my focus is keeping my clients happy here in Las Vegas that I deal with on a regular basis. But then when I don't deal with them, I'm hitting the internet marketing stuff as hard as possible. So
how many clients do you currently have?
7 right now.
7. Okay. And what are these clients looking? Is it like $1,000 a month contracts? Is it something where you're just doing a little bit of work here and there for them? I just want to give our audience an idea of the kind of money that you're generating from your offline clients.
Sure. Yeah. No. Some of them are in the $900 range. I usually sell a monthly deal where I pretty much do all of their offline internet marketing stuff for around $900 a month. And then I have some that just pay me as little as $300 a month just to do some website updates for them and manage their website, and that's it. So it kind of ranges in that ballpark between $300 and $900 a month per client.
Is it hard for you to maintain that client list? Is there a lot of turnover? And I can just see, like, you get a bunch of clients and then they discontinue and they cancel and you're like, oh crap, where's my rent check gonna come from next month? Like, you get used to that style and that standard of living, and then it's gone overnight.
Right. No, it's definitely true. And I've been lucky enough that a few of the clients I've had have been with me since day one. When I started back in 2010, 2011. But yes, I've had some clients come and go from time to time for whatever reason. A lot of them, it came down to the fact they just couldn't afford the services any longer because their business wasn't doing as well as it should have been or it could have been. It can be a scary situation for sure, because you just don't know for sure which month they decide, okay, we just can't pay anymore. Yeah. We're not going to be able to continue with the services. But, that's just the nature of the beast when you have your own business, no matter what you're doing. And I found that out early on, too, when I worked with my previous employers. They didn't offer any type of recurring, business model for their current clients. And they were just doing everything on one-off type of situations. And yes, they were charging a lot for those one-off like websites or some, print materials for that business or whatever, and it may be a like $50K contract. But then once that money was paid and they got what they wanted out of it, they weren't getting any more out of it. So that guy, and working for him, he was constantly on the hustle, trying to drudge up new business all the time because of that reason, alone.
You said something interesting where it seems like you're going from the offline and the online is more attractive to you. Is there a reason for that? Is it easier? Is it more lucrative? What's the reason?
Yeah, I think ultimately, the nice thing about having the online and the internet marketing stuff is you don't have to necessarily deal with a client, so to speak. I mean, yes, you have customers on the list and, they have demands and they want to, be treated a certain way. But you always have that, that barrier of an email between you and them. And if, they're not happy, you don't usually want them anyway. And you'll replenish them with somebody who does like what you're offering or what, you have to say. So it gets a little bit, less hand-holding overall. When you have an offline client, you definitely have to do a lot more of that to make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. And, their business is a little more fickle as far as, even if you're providing excellent services, whatever those might be for them, sometimes, you can't control whether or not they're a good business person and they understand their business model and they're making money the way they're supposed to be making money or not. Or, there's so many outside factors where I think with the internet, when you're a product creator, you don't have as many barriers in front of you. I think it's more along the lines of, are you putting out good quality products that people can use and put into good use? And if that's the case, then I think it's a little bit easier to work in the internet marketing versus the offline marketing.
I almost feel like I heard from you kind of that the client in the internet on the online part is a little more expendable or not as important. And I think I understand where you're coming from in the fact that, okay, if you've got 7 offline clients, you're gonna do everything you can to keep them happy, especially
Right.
if they're paying you $300 to $900 a month. Even if it's $300, that's still a good amount of money. But if you've got someone that's bought a $7 product from you and they're complaining about this and complaining about that, then I understand. Of course, you're going to give more. If you have to choose between the two, you're going to give your time to the larger client. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. As far as the clients online or the customers online, you have so many of them typically, right? By the time you've launched a product or two, you're dealing with thousands of people on the list. And if you have thousands of people, you just can't give them all. I mean, I try to give my list as much attention as possible as far as I do my own customer support and everything else. And I usually, I pride myself on making sure that I answer questions, give prompt refunds if asked, that sort of thing. But, if I get an email from someone that says, I'm going to unsubscribe because I'm getting too many emails from you. Okay, well, I'm sorry. That's it. I'm not going to chase them down and say, please come back. But if my offline client, I'm doing all that stuff for them and they come to me and say, listen, we want to do this, this, and this. Otherwise, we're going to have to leave. Well, I'm definitely going to step up my game on that side of things because, yes, they're a higher paying client. And I just value that time more with them, with the amount of money that they're paying me to work with them.
And I think there does come a time in any business like this where there are emails, like people will send you emails, and then people do the same thing with me, and they'll ask small questions, like one-line questions that are fairly simple and easy to answer, and I'm happy to answer back. But once people want more hand-holding and they want you to really take a look at what they're doing and really help them out with more hands-on stuff, I think it's at that point that you offer to them some kind of a coaching program or a higher ticket item that's going to give more of your time to them, because then it's going to be the same situation as the offline client that you had before. You can say, okay, well, you're paying for my time. Right. And then it makes it more logical.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's exactly where I'm heading with my business right now as far as the internet is concerned. I'm actually putting together a higher ticket group coaching program right now for those who are interested in the products that I've been recently putting out, which is this offline marketing evolved, which is all about trying to transform an offline freelance guy that has this offline marketing business into more of a marketing agency, right? And so eventually a lot of these people are going to need more hands-on coaching and understanding exactly how to take their business to that level. I mean, as far as a $7 information product goes, it gets you your feet wet and gets you in the door, but ultimately you need to understand, there's more details to exactly what it takes to make an agency out of a offline marketing guy.
Yeah, let's move into that. Let's talk more about your product that you're putting out. It's Offline Marketing Evolved. And when I look at the sales page here, it says discover how to sell solutions rather than services at agency level rates. And close client after client in 7 stupidly simple steps. Tell me about the difference between selling solutions rather than services.
Yeah, the big difference and the big takeaway there, and what I'm trying to convey there is, ultimately at the end of the day, an offline local business owner, they could ultimately care less about whether they have 10,000 fans on their Facebook page or whether or not they have, followers on Twitter or what have you, right? Or if they're number one on SEO for a keyword. What they really need and what they really want are leads, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to make sure that those leads convert into real paying customers. So what you need to do is, and a lot of business owners are uneducated as far as, what is SEO? What is, what is a fan page? A lot of them may not even know what that stuff is. So instead of going in there and talking tech speak and jargon with them and trying to sell them on a one-off service where they can't necessarily see the value overall of what that service is going to bring them, mm-hmm. You're better off selling them on the idea of, okay, this is what your lifetime customer value is to you, right? This is what it's going to cost you to acquire that lifetime customer, okay? And then here's what I'm proposing we do along the way to build those leads up and then get those into your door and then convert them into paying customers somehow. So it's a matter of using all those things, right? You're still going to use SEO. You're still going to use Facebook and Twitter and all these other channels of lead generation, but you're not necessarily just selling them on that one idea of, I'm going to build you a fan page or I'm going to build you a mobile website, pay me, but I can't guarantee anything out of it.
It makes a lot of sense to me, especially I'm getting ready to put out my first product, and I've been really putting a lot of time into the sales letter. And one of the things with the sales letter is it's the same thing when you're selling a client, is that you don't want to talk specifically about the features of what's going on. The features would be the benefits. So the features would be a fan page or a Twitter account or followers. Like those mm-hmm. are things that don't really tell them, those are just tools to get mm-hmm. the benefits. And if you sell them on, the whole reason, like you were saying, is that they want these things, is that they think that, okay, if I have a fan page that has a lot of fans, that will equate into more leads. So if you just kind of, I think I hear what you're doing, you're skipping over all those features and just going straight to the meat and saying, mm-hmm. okay, well, I know you want more money, I know you want more sales, and let's talk about that. And sure, these are some things that I'll do for you that will create these sales and this money for you. But let's focus more on the sales and the leads. Am I following you correctly?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more. You got it.
Okay, so you kind of explained it, but now talk me through this. Let's say I come to you, I say, Kerry, there's a restaurant down the road, and I've been trying to make them a website for a while. How can I approach them and sell them on the website in a way that other people aren't doing? How can I go up to them and I want to make them a website, I want to make them a Facebook page and a Twitter page. Those are things that I know how to do, but mm-hmm. how do I do that? Do I say I can get you more I can get you more people coming to your restaurant, more customers? Like, how do I sell that?
Yeah, you would definitely want to be approaching them with the idea that you're going to end up, filling empty seats on certain times of the day, maybe that are slower than others. Mm-hmm. So you're going to offer them a solution to that, right? And one of those solutions might be something along the lines of, you're going to come in and say, I can put you on like a text message marketing campaign, right? Where we're going to get people to sign up to it for a free offer, such as a coupon or, a discount of some sort. And then we're going to, during the slow times of the day, we're going to send them a text message blast and say, come down here to, XYZ restaurant and get a free cocktail, get a free meal, get a free dessert, whatever it might be, to get those people in during the slow time so that your turnover rate isn't going to be as high when you have the downtimes aren't going to be so low and your peak times aren't going to be so high. Hopefully it starts to even out things. Plus you get a little bit more incentivize people to come in through the restaurant, right? By giving something of value to them in exchange for their, patronage, essentially. And then by, doing that for the restaurant owner, now the restaurant owner is looking at, okay, you provided a solution, you've got me new business. Okay, you want to look at doing the website next? I mean, it's a good foot in the door tactic, essentially.
And I like it because you didn't approach the business owner and say, hey, I want to set up an SMS text campaign for you.
Right.
Like that. If you say that to them, they're like, what the heck is that going to do? But
Exactly.
if you say, I want to fill seats for you and this is how I'm going to do it for you, then you've got their attention.
Right.
Now, I asked you that question and your brain worked pretty quickly to come up with a solution for that. In the product, do you talk about stuff like that? Like, let's pretend I haven't done any offline marketing before. Are you teaching all of that? Tell me a little more about what people are going to get when they purchase.
Essentially, I'm not exactly giving you strategy as far as how to get foot in the door tactics or even lead generation. I pretty much cover the basics of once you've gotten the prospective client in your sites about how to, sit down and meet with them, what you should be doing at that meeting, and, how you should approach that meeting, be prepared for that meeting, how to prepare for it. Write down some questions you might have for the client. Then when you go into the meeting itself, I have you, basically let the client do most of the speaking because a lot of times clients will, take the lead in those types of situations. But what you should do initially is come in and make yourself well announced as far as, who you are, what you offer, what type of solutions you can provide them with, right? Let them explain about their business and what they're trying to accomplish. Then I have them go over the, the presentation that it comes with, right? To go over what types of solutions and why you're going to be providing these types of solutions to them. And then we go over their checklist. Essentially, I give you like an assessment checklist with this so that you can look into what they're doing currently before you go to the meeting, okay? And figure out, okay, what do they have as far as, do they have a good logo? Do they have any type of, slogan taglines for their business? Are they using print materials right now? What kind of quality are they? Do they have a, good design scheme to everything that they're doing? What's their website like? There's 12 basically checklist points on this assessment, and you basically do a quick Google search, figure out who your client is, do a little background on it, fill that out. When you go to that meeting and after you've had your little presentation, you pretty much hand them off that checklist and say, this is what I recommend, or this is where I see you at. You accentuate the positives, you talk about some of the negatives that they're doing, and then essentially you give them your proposal if you're ready at that point. Okay, you have a pre-made proposal even done for you, so that you can get them to see exactly what you're offering. Now, a lot of times when you go into a business with a pre-made proposal for the services you intend to provide them with, right, and to solve their problems, they're going to say, okay, well, I'm not exactly sure if I want to do this, this, and this, because I can't necessarily see myself paying this much money per month right now, or something along those lines. So a lot of times you're going to be taking that proposal back to the drawing board after your meeting and reworking it and then re-providing it to them, right? But in a perfect world or a perfect scenario, if they were to love what you had to say and love what you had to offer right off the bat, then the very next step would be to give them a credit card authorization form on the spot to at least get them paying you something initially, even if it's just a small fee to get started, right? Just to make sure that you can get paid monthly on a regular basis and not have to chase down payments and chase down checks and that sort of thing.
So it sounds like you set them up with like some sort of a PayPal subscription type thing?
Yeah, it's like I use Square, and I use Square. I don't like as much because they don't offer the recurring, but sometimes I use it anyway. But yeah, the PayPal has one of those little readers now you stick on your phone, so you can set that up, or you can set up. The other company I use is Intuit. Intuit has their payment set up the same way. They all have these little readers now that stick into the top of your phone to swipe a card on. So those are really handy to use and free to get. Usually they'll even credit your account and give you like $10 free or something if you sign up.
So I mean, it sounds like for me, I would be concerned about closing the deal and how many customers I would have to go through sales presentations with. Like, you've got 7 clients. How many people did you have to see before you had 7 clients?
Well, for me, I was lucky. Like, I didn't have to see too many to get my 7 that I currently have, because a lot of them came from word of mouth referrals for me. And so that's a huge plus on my end. I mean, and honestly, I haven't done a whole lot of, or I haven't had to do a whole lot of like prospecting to get more clients, because I can only handle so many at a time. And like I said, I haven't had that much turnover rate either. So, I don't know the exact numbers that somebody might be going through, but, it's hard to speak to that, is what I should say.
Sure. Sure. Well, is there anything else today that you wanted to mention before we wrap it up?
Trying to think of
we
something.
Get to everything?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
any one-time offers or anything?
With this product being released, yeah, there's inside of that product we have what I call the AIM toolkit. Okay, and the AIM toolkit is a product where it's a series of print-ready materials such as business cards, brochures, flyer, direct mail piece like a postcard, digital ad for placement on the web, and then of course it also comes with an updated or what I call an agency level designed pricing matrix, because that's one part of this product too. Is I've given you a pricing guide essentially, where it's pretty simple. I don't know if you've taken a peek at it yet or not, but it lets you essentially say, okay, how many services are you going to provide them with, right? And then you just go down the line and figure out exactly how many they're choosing, which ones they're choosing or which ones they're not choosing, or not choosing, but the ones you're suggesting, I should say. And then you give them that price point, right? It's just a good guide to start off with what each service should be worth to your business.
And that's a really hard thing. Like, I've had people approach me before, and I don't do a lot of offline stuff, but they've asked me, hey, Mike, can you do a website for us? And I don't know whether to charge them $5,000 or to charge them $500, because there's so many different people charging different amounts of money. And I have friends. I was at a hotel the other day, and I asked the owner, I was like, do you have a website, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yes, I paid $2,000 for this. And I took a look at it, and it was crap. Like, I could have done so much better, and I would have done it for less. So it's nice to have a price list to really go off of, and to be able to, I think, can you show the customer that as well?
Yeah, it's actually one of those things where I have it in a situation where it's print ready, so they can print it out as a hand it out. And I suggest that in the 7-step guide, to essentially have one ready for the customer and one for yourself, so that, of course, if you're looking at, you don't have to be looking over the shoulder looking at it, right? And you can use it as a good talking point to figure out exactly where, things are for them and what they should be doing. Now, the pricing guide itself, the prices are subjective. I mean, as far as where you're at, what clients you're going to be talking to. I mean, you definitely but these are good baseline numbers overall. And, I figure for the most part, they're the fair numbers that I've found that work the best over the years that I've been doing offline marketing.
Cool, Kerry. Well, thank you again for coming on the show today. We'll have a link to Offline Marketing Evolved in the show notes on MikeFromMaine.com. Did you have a website or an email where people can reach you at?
Sure. Well, my offline marketing website is VegasTechGroup.com. Of course, OfflineMarketingEvolved.com is my news product. And then you can reach me at KKNOLL at VegasTechGroup.com. That's Knoll at VegasTechGroup.com.
Awesome, Kerry. Thanks again.
All right, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go to MikeFromMaine.com/evolved to check out Kerry's product. That's MikeFromMaine.com/EVOLVED. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.